Welcome to Two Gents, where two seasoned gents take on the hard truths of life, success, and responsibility. In a world where the rules don't bend for us, these gents believe in doing the work, owning the struggle, and inspiring others to take action. So, pull up a chair.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to Two Gents and a Mic podcast. Our host is Ron Spikes. Aaron Glass is our moderator. He keeps everything in order. And I'm just somebody trying to speak on here. Pastor A.F. Riggins. Glad to be coming to you live. I see old Baron with that pink handkerchief, keeping in with the breast cancer awareness. Myself, I'm trying to throw a little bit of shade of it. But tonight, we'll continue our broadcast from last week, talking about No King's Protest. Coming into the show, Ron was saying we're living in some weird and strange times, and I believe we are. And Baron Glass was letting us know that there's a system being set up, not just by Trump, but everyone is uniting with him and behind him, correlating with him, so that we'll never have what we had before from 2008 to 2016, trying to make sure that they can overturn and regress everything that was made when Barack Obama was president of the United States. And that is the basis of everything that's really racist, that's classism, even this whole concept about shutting down the government. It's aimed at destroying all the different things that go to Obamacare, those that are helping out the people who are through SNAP, children's program, WIC, and everything else, which is scheduled on November 1st for a lot of people not to receive any more assistance. And so tonight we come into No King's Protest Part 2, talking about Donald Trump went to Japan over the last couple of days. And you see a video of it. He's walking around like an old uncle or grandfather in a nursing home somewhere. And he's walking around upset, look like he's upset, he's confused, he doesn't know what's going on, because basically he's the face of, or he's the centerpiece, or he is the poster child of everything that's going on, but he really is not even himself, I believe. But let me tell you something about the speech he made. In a speech he made, he bragged about America not being woke anymore. And then he talked about they love killing people who are doing things that are wrong, but still said they need to have a Nobel Peace Prize. Come on. And then he talked about the Supreme Court and talked about how some people look good and some people don't look good, and just like rambling like a drunk man or somebody's not really there. And then he started talking about our country's built on merit, that you have to earn who you are and what you become. If that's true, he hasn't earned anything, as far as I can see, not even a college degree. I don't even think he's ever got. Did he even earn the money his parents even gave him? Everything's been given to him, and he's squandered everything that's given to him. I don't even believe he's even earned an election, but that's my opinion. Let's go farther. Tonight, we want to focus on how can we continue to work together, grassroots, to be able to protest, not only protest, but put that protest to a vote, put some votes into action, that we can be able to put a stop to what Donald Trump is doing. What say you, Ron Spikes? What say you, Baron Glass?
Go ahead, Baron.
Go ahead, Mr. Spikes.
As I look at everything that's going on and I thought about this grassroots thing, I hope that we're not doing it too soon. I hope that it doesn't, those 7 million people don't forget to go to the polls and vote. Because we can do all it, we can talk, and we can talk about everything that's going on in this world today, but if it don't manage to get to the voting place, we're doomed. As BG says, we're doomed. It's over, and I agree with him, because if the Republicans control the House and the Senate in the midterm, after the midterm elections, after all that we see that's going on out here, and even all that Pastor Riggins, just part of what Pastor Riggins just got through saying, and then they turn around, and I've never seen, it's something out there, Pastor, I want you and BG to look at it as we get further in this, because it shows you how they're using the government. I've never seen the government use a website to point out something that's wrong, a government website to point out something that's wrong, and then blame the other party. So, Glass, I'm gonna yield to you.
Well, I think Riggins hit the nail on the head. President Obama was not supposed to be what he ended up earning. And as a result of that system allowing that to happen, this is my opinion, I think that because this man that's out there now has enough, I'm not going to even say courage, but has enough backing, or have enough backing to be able to come in and try to change the entire trajectory, to make it even harder to see something like we saw in 2020. So by any means necessary, Malcolm said it, but they are applying it. They are meaning it. So if that means to subvert individuals from voting, if that means making it harder for people to vote, if that means getting rid of people in this country so they can't vote, then that's the platform that they own. Now, I think we've always said on here that, there's a distinct difference between playing checkers versus playing chess. And if you look at what's going on, Riggins, Spikes, I just happen to think that the chess players are playing and the checkers players are trying to figure out how to play chess. We're still 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months after the election. We still don't have a person out there with the loudspeaker. We still don't have somebody out there that's basically dissecting what's being said versus what the facts are. So here we are in 2026. I'm going to say it every opportunity I get. In 2026, if we don't get out and vote, the way that we have known will no longer be known. Ron, I'll yield to you if you're there. Otherwise, Riggins, let's go on and jump into it. I know we got some guests out there. I see Positivity D. I know we got Atlanta listening in tonight. We got Baton Rouge listening in. Some other parts, the country as well. Again, the number one goal is just to enlighten and inform. And if we can't enlighten and inform, then we're basically failing the job that we set out to do. Now, again, we're not forcing anybody to do anything. What we are doing is asking you to go out and fact check, to find out information for yourself. I see somebody else out there, Riggins.
Mary G.
Yeah.
Says hi.
Says hi. Hello.
Positive D says good evening, gents. Let me tell you something, Baron Glass. What I hope for in the long run is that its overreach is so bad that America gets into a shock and says, we can't let this happen again. And somehow in 2026, we take the House and the Senate and then push it 2028. And if there's a landslide election for Gavin Newsom or somebody like that to repudiate everything, because see, there was a speech made by Martin Luther King Jr. in the 50s or early 60s. And if you ever watch the Eyes on the Prize series, one of the videos was named after the speech, called There Are Two Americas. And what we mean by two Americas is that there are people who want America to be great. There are people who want America to change. There are people who want America to be one of diversity, one of progressive, one inclusive, that wants America to go forward into the 21st century and be the model that has been all these years. But then there's a group of people. They're outnumbered, but they have the purse strings. They're outnumbered, and they're the one playing chess. They're outnumbered, and they're the ones who are holding on for the last gasp of power that wants America to be like it was from the late 1860s, well, all the way through slavery, but the late 1860s all the way up to Jim Crow. And that is a small group. When I say a small group, or minority group of one color of people in power by hook or crook, and most of them being rich people or upper echelon folk, and then everybody else is second class, third class, and they're very divisive, they're exclusive, they're not progressive, but they're conservative, and so there is a battle, as Joe Biden was saying, for the soul of America. And I hope that somehow we can repudiate this in the future. Ron, I yield to you, brother. We can't hear you, Ron.
I think your mic might be muted.
Your mic went out, Ron. Your mic went out. He said, go ahead on and talk.
Okay, he lost power from the storm.
Yes, sir, right. Yeah, there was a storm that came through. The storm.
Yeah, we got one coming now. But see, Pastor, again, it's relevant to talk about a storm, because that's what we need. We need people storming the voting block. We need people storming the neighborhoods, get people out to go and vote, because it's crucial that our kids, Pastor, or our kids' grandkids, or our kids' kids, our grandkids, do not go through what your mom and dad and my mom went through.
Yes.
And as you so eloquently lay this stuff out, it bothers me that rather than you and I being able to join hands with others, now we have to worry about if others actually feel the same way based on the actions that's being portrayed. Others meaning people that we went to school with, people that we fellowship with, people that we've had conversation with, people that we've talked about, some of these instances. But it appears that this person who has been able to tap into what Clinton called the deplorables, or the people who have less educational background, or who have an educational background but just don't give a damn about other people. If you look at it, Riggins, right now, SNAP benefits we talked about in opening. Do you understand that people that have been used to getting $300, $400, $500, how much they get on a monthly basis, maybe the last 15, 20 years, Riggins, if they don't get what they were getting, they're going to start looking at people like you and I, because to get what they need, they're going to start taking it. But what I don't understand is if we're supposed to be on the bottom and we got these other people that's on top, well, if they're coming for us, guess what? They're coming for you too, because you are supposed to have more than what we have. So it's a whole lot of things, Pastor, that's boggled up into one piece, and you can chip away at whatever you want to chip away at. And for the next year, we still would not cover the topics of the things that's going on now that's going to have an adverse effect on us.
Yeah, let me read what Ron put up here, and I'm going to give you a personal testimony. Many SNAP households have earned income. Almost 1/3 of SNAP households have earned income, though only 20% of households have gross monthly income above the federal poverty line. The average SNAP household's monthly gross income is $872, and net income is $398. Let me tell you why. When you're getting SNAP benefits, once you start earning so much money, then they're going to take away from you anyway. Just like Section 8 housing. Once you get Section 8 housing, once you start earning so much money, they're going to push you out anyway. Growing up, my dad worked for Firestone. Firestone, the tire company, had a big plant in Lake Charles, Louisiana. I remember as a kid, we used to go there during Christmas time. They had this big old Christmas giveaway for all the employees' children, big old giant event. And around about when I was about 7, 8, or 9 years old, my dad got laid off. He started pastoring the church, and he got laid off from Firestone. He then began to work to get his license, become a licensed electrician and a licensed plumber. in a small town, about 3,000 to 5,000 people, which means there wasn't a lot of work out there. He worked every day of his life, but guess what? With 5 children, we had to get SNAP. It wasn't called SNAP back then.
Right.
Yeah. We had to get on food stamps, they call it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my dad preaching because he said God was dealing with his pride. That now that he was on food stamps, we were eating better than he ever ate before. But a man would be too proud not to get a hand up or a hand out. He was working every day, but we needed it for a certain season of our life, for like maybe 4 or 5 years, until he was able to work himself back up out of that poverty level income and get to a mid income or middle American income. Till he finally got a job at the school as the custodian janitor or the maintenance man. Put us all through school on grants and student loans. Then went back to McNeese and got his teaching degree and stayed in the school system and taught for 26 years. But at one point in their life, because when he and my mom met at Southern University, they got married. They had me the next year. He came back to McNeese and tried to go to school a little while, but he had to go out and earn a living. Work at American Bridge in Orange, with American Bridge Company in Orange, worked for Firestone. For Firestone, got laid off, had to work for himself for so many years. And then went back to working at the school, put his kids through school, went back to school, then came back and taught special ed and shop in the same high school we graduated from. So when you talk about SNAP benefits, this ain't people laying around not trying to do something.
Right.
This ain't people laying around being lazy. It's not people laying around thinking they're sorry. Sometimes it's because of what life has dealt them. And let me tell you something. There are more Anglo-Americans on SNAP benefits than African-American, Hispanic Americans.
Look at this
Also,
comment.
sheer number, percentage-wise, when we talk about percentage, 12% and 14% of the population African-American is more percentage-wise African-American Hispanics, but numbers, by raw numbers, because there are more Anglo-Americans in America, they are cutting off their nose to spite their face. And those districts are going to turn around. In those districts, those red state districts, in those Republican-leaning districts, they're going to come back and get those congressmen out the wild. They keep blaming the Democrats all they want to.
And Riggins, you just dispel the rumor of the ignorance that that people think. They think that because you are on this, is that you're going to be enabled for the rest of your life to stay on it. My mama, Riggins, personal story, went down to try to get some benefits. They come in and start asking all of these questions. And my mama like, why do y'all need to know all this? Told them, hey, look, if you got to know all this information about me, I don't need your stuff. Now, to this day, I can honestly 100% unequivocally say I cannot think of any point in my life where if we asked for something, we didn't get it. The difference is we didn't get what we wanted, Riggins. We got what we needed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you're getting what you need, that's a blessing in the sky. But what I don't understand, Riggins, is that if you're trying to pull your bootstraps up like your dad and getting some SNAP benefits, what the hell is the difference between a farmer out there who have a bad summer and then go and get a subsidized loan? What's the difference? Is it because of, it's all of these things that have been indoctrinated in people. So when this man started talking about, man, do you even know what woke is? What you want people to do is to stay asleep. Woke is becoming knowledgeable about the things that you've been taught. Woke is knowing the difference between what's factual and what's fiction. Woke is knowing that slavery existed, even though people try to whitewash and say that it didn't exist. Woke is knowing that, hey, look, it hadn't been but 50 or 60 years that integration or segregation was basically put to the side because we never got rid of it. Because look at it, we're dealing with it right now. Again, we need people that's willing to be a drum major for justice. Not justice for some people, but justice for all people. Riggins, I'm touched by your personal story. That's determination. And the American Negro must have had some type of determination to come over here on slave ship packed like sardines with shit and feces and urine and all that on them. Get off the boat, name taken away from them, stripped of everything they knew, start over again, then go through Jim Crow, racism, segregation, all this, that, and other, and be able to raise somebody like you, somebody like Mr. Spike, somebody like millions of other people that's out there. So yes, determination is there. But at the end of the day, when the smoke is cleared and the dust is settled, if somebody gave you $300 million, if somebody gave you $1 million, I guarantee you most people can do better than what the person is who was given hundreds of millions of dollars and still was a failure then and still a failure now in my eyes, because failure is not taking advantage. Success is not taking advantage of somebody. Success is not always having something negative to say about somebody. Success is not Riggins being able to stack the deck so you can get the outcome that you want.
Right.
Success is being able to get in a boxing ring and you go 13 rounds and you know that when you lose or win, that you gave it all based on the ability that God gave you. So at the end of the day, we need to wake up, open our eyes, enlighten our minds, broaden our horizon, and realize that in 2026, we got a fight on our hands.
Let me tell you, Barry, when I met you, I went to school on a scholarship and a Pell Grant. I didn't do good in math. I wasn't good in math, and I lost a scholarship, and I was on a Pell Grant. The last semester I was in school, the last year I was in school, my third brother is one behind me. It was at Tech. He was on a grant too. But when the third one came in, somebody had to go on student loan.
Mm-hmm.
It was me. I ended up racking up $20,000 worth of student loans that my dad had to get for us. And I had to pay it off all the way to 2012 when I graduated in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
See, people don't understand this stuff.
Right.
People don't understand people don't understand this stuff. They think, let me talk about this subsidizing of the farmers. Trump has designed it that African American farmers have not been subsidized.
Mm-hmm.
In his first term and second term. But all the chickens have come on the roost. He's now made it where all beef farmers, no matter what background you are suffering. So what does he do? He's trying to play like the mafia. He goes to Argentina and rake a lot of millions of dollars to Argentina and say, get us some cheap beef over here. And so he can try to bring down the beef prices. But that's not working. Let me say it again. Because of him not subsidizing the beef farmers, the beef has went up on the market. Instead of him going back and fixing it and doing it right, he runs to Argentina and gives them millions of dollars to try to sell us cheap beef, hoping that'll bring down the prices, and it's still not working.
And Pastor, I want to tie into that if you can hear me.
Yes.
What happens? Where did that money come from? The money that he gave Argentina?
We don't. See, that's what I'm saying.
It came out of USDA form, the same form, the same department where they could have subsidized some of these farmers in America and bought some of the cows here, or went across America, went to some of these black farms, some of these Hispanic farms, and got the same product that you went overseas and you spent all that money to get. But see what happens. As you just said, it's come back home to roost, because in Iowa, their GDP went down.
Yeah.
Because, it's farmers up there and they don't look like us.
Yeah.
But who did they go for in this election?
They're upset.
Who did they? I'm just saying, if that's who you voted for, you got to deal with the consequences. Welcome to being black. You just heard what Pastor Regan just said his father went through. Welcome to being black, because those black farmers never got the subsidies that you guys got in return. Those black farmers never got the money, but they still went out and did what they were supposed to do, and they still raised their families on those black farms with less money than what you were getting, because you were getting those $1 million checks for years. Now it's not coming in. You finding out what it feels like to be black, and I can only thing I can say is maybe you can only plant an acre this year. Well, you've been planting 300 acres.
But
maybe
here's the deal, Ron.
an acre.
Here's the deal. So you can take the same analogy that Riggins used and make a comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would have committed suicide, Riggins, because they're too weak. They couldn't handle that situation.
Yes, sir.
Some people could have grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth, but the kid got hooked up on drugs and alcohol and all this other stuff. So when you can't tell me that you're a believer in the teaching of Jesus, and you continuously want to make it harder for those who made it easier for you, those who were babysitting, those who were cleaning the house, those who was doing the sharecropping. It absolutely makes no sense to me. So it's a disease that can only be cured by just a total change with the indoctrination of people. Because the way I look at it is this: you're 100% illiterate. You have some occasions of inbreeding. There's something that's not ticking right in you, because I would never, even right now, Riggins, I would never want any oppressor to go through what the oppressor have gone through. Mm-hmm. We're not that type of people. We're not trying to come in and take control of what is and what's not. What we're saying is hell, there's a starting line, and you put all of us on the same starting line, and let's see who finished first. But you know that if you do that, 99% of the time, check the record book. I ain't got to tell you what the outcome is, Mr. Spikes. We know where it goes.
Look what Positive D says. White Americans, 35 to 37% of SNAP participants. Black Americans are 26%.
But nobody's putting those facts out there. We continue to go with the mainstream media's narrative run.
Hey, Glass, here it is right here. Go ahead and read it when I get it up. Let me see if here it is.
We should only help people who can help themselves. Well, that was Riggins. It's outrageous. 40 million people get food stamps. Get off your fat ghetto asses. Get a job. Stop reproducing. Change your shitty culture. Stop giving food stamps to immigrants. Well, Riggins, if we go with what's being said, and Positive D just put out there that the majority of people that's on there, you're talking about your own people, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, that's why I don't understand. That's why I don't understand the ignorance. But see, the fact checkers don't make this information known. Riggins, come on, man.
Yeah, man. Listen. It's all about perception versus reality. And people rather believe a lie than the truth. And the Bible tells you that. Yeah. And then the Bible says, wake up, you old sleeper. Wake up. Don't sleep. The Bible even tells you that. Because you first get spiritually woke, so you can get culturally woke. You can be physically woke, mentally woke, but they want to put everybody to sleep.
Oh, Riggins. Ron, I think I shared this with y'all. This guy did a reel, and he was talking about, I think it was, I forget, 700,000, whatever the number was, homeless people. Then he went on to say that it's X amount of millions of churches that's in the country. Then he pointed out, Riggins, that X amount of billions of dollars was given to these churches. Mm-hmm. So if X amount of billions of dollars was given to these churches, why do we still have homelessness?
Because they turn around using money the wrong way. Now, let me throw something else, another wrinkle to the story. Mm-hmm. And when I tell this story, some people they're like associated with me, or I just put it this way. They say, why you tell a story about your own food stamps? Because I'm not ashamed of it. The rest of the story is this. My daddy was a pastor, and he pastored 2 churches, one in East Texas and one in Louisiana. And for everybody who think that preachers want money, all preachers don't want money. I remember being in a meeting because we had to sit in the back of the church while they have a church meeting. Because, we 4 kids and 4 boys, and my sister might have been a little baby then, sitting in my mama's arms. They had to put my dad out of the meeting to raise his monthly honorarium from $400 to $425 because he didn't want it to be raised. They said, you go on and leave, because he was trying to stop them from voting on it. This was in the 1980s. He didn't want, I'm not talking about $400 a week. He didn't want it to be $425 a month because he didn't believe he should be taking money from the church like that. I say all to say that perception is reality. When they talk about people grabbing from folk and people taking from folk and the church getting all this money and where the money going, if you put it in the right churches with the right type of people, they can do something with it. Sometimes the wrong kind of church is getting the money, and the preacher going down the freeway driving a Phantom, while other people riding the Metro bus to church.
You know what?
That's why I learned my integrity from in church. I learned my integrity from my dad. And I believe the Bible says you're supposed to take care of the man of God. But you're supposed to be within reason, you're supposed to be with moderation, you're supposed to be according to what you have.
But I think, Pastor, I believe this. I don't know where you say the pastor is supposed to do better than the church members, than any church member that's out there. Because if a church member is going to a job and got a 9 to 5 and he putting in 10%, I don't think he say that 90% of it's supposed to go to that pastor. Because if he's driving one of those cars that you're talking about, 90% of that money is going in his pocket.
Yeah.
Right now, why he have a problem with the music director. Go ahead. Right.
He's not the kind of programmer to talk about it, but I can tell you this. The Bible says, if we give unto you spiritual things, we ought to be able to reap material things from you, but it has to be in order. It has to be in line. In other words, if your budget in the church, if 20% of the budget goes to take care of staff, or 30%, which includes the pastor, which might be 10% to the pastor, whatever, you're doing pretty good. But if you're 40 and 50 and 6%, 7% of that budget is going to the pastor, you're in trouble. So there's nothing wrong with taking care of the pastor. I'm not, because I'm with my church where I'm at now, they take care of me according to a nice way that should be done. But I'm also bivocational. Also, if the church cannot take care of me the way I need to take care of, I know how to take care of myself. Now, if I'm not bivocational and the church have it, I should be able to show the fruit of my labor. Is the church growing? Are we doing community things? Are we changing the world? Are we impacting our community? Are we making things happen? Am I going out there and earning? Am I earning what I'm doing? Not just preaching a sermon, but I'm making things happen for people to have things in their house. I should, like I say, if I could buy a Phantom, then I should be able to buy 20 people a car at that church.
Hey, Riggins, I want my pastor to drive whatever it is that he can afford. So if it's a luxury vehicle, whatever, I don't, because what if he's got a law degree? What if he's an engineer?
You're right. If he's working on bivocational.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, you're right. He's bivocational, yes.
I'm glad.
I'm talking about a full-time pastor.
Yeah, let me.
Now, all you're doing is working at the church. You got people suffering at the church, but off the church's income,
let me finish what I'm saying. But I think again, people get the wrong perception that everybody should do good, and I want them to do good no matter what they are. What my problem is when you're doing good, and the neighbor's kid in the neighborhood, their house burned down, and you got to go through a chain of command to donate the public offering of some kind to this family. And the pastor's a lead person saying, no, we don't need to be giving no money to them because they don't go to church. That's where my problem come in at.
Yeah. Hey, Glass, look at this. Look at this while you put on your glasses and look at this and just read it and look at where it's from.
Senate Democrats have now voted 12 times to not fund the food stamp program, also known as SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's kind of like some people still don't know that Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act. But nevertheless, bottom line, the well has run dry. At this time, there will be no benefits issued November the 1st. We are approaching an inflection point for Senate Democrats. They can continue to hold out for health care for illegal aliens and gender mutilation procedures, or reopen the government so mothers, babies, and the most vulnerable among us receive critical nutrition assistance. Pastor, that's a lie. If a person is over here illegally, but they're working and paying their taxes, they should get whatever benefit it is. You're not giving it to somebody who's coming over here rigging that's not contributing. But
Yes,
that's the lie that's being put out. Dems, where are you at? You know that you're not giving to illegal immigrants or people, illegal aliens. You're not giving to illegal aliens.
But the part that I'm trying to point out on this website, Senate Democrats, this is the Republicans. They're running a government website, the USDA, and they posted this statement to it. That's a lie. That's just an outright lie. Dems ain't shut down this country. Republicans shut it down. They got the House, they got the Senate, they got the executive,
got everything.
Executive branch. And who shut down this? Who's being blamed for this? They're trying to blame everybody but themselves because they have the keys. They can open up the doors because they're not there now. Think about this. If it was the Dems, they'll be jumping up and down talking about, yeah, let's hurry. Well, they ain't open up their own doors because they don't want to confirm a member that's going to help them release the Epstein file. They ain't open up their own doors, then they got the keys. So how you gonna blame the Democrats for this? Your people ain't even in Washington because you scared that one of them gonna change their position by listening to the Democrats that's there ready to go to work.
But Ron, the same man that's in DC is the same man rigging 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, or 12 years ago that said when there's a government shutdown, it's always a party in the party in power responsibility. So now all of a sudden that has changed. Why these people? You know what I get upset at is this: is that these so-called commentators or interviewers or whatever you want to call them, they give no pushback. Riggins, you can ask this man, say, did you say this? I mean, he can say something. They'll know he said it, but they won't come back with him and say, well, do you remember saying this? And then they'll let him lie and just keep on going. Mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, they're afraid of retribution. They're afraid of, man, people, let me tell you about life. They're more followers than leaders. Long time ago, I heard this statement. A few people make things happen. Some people watch things happen. Most people wonder what happened. Even all these news people, they're watching things, but they're still wondering what's going on. It's like you and I and people like us and people who are doing the wrong things and people who are trying to do right. A few people making things happen. He wanted people that making things happen, making it happen the wrong way. While we and other people try to make it happen things the right way, most people are just followers. They're looking around, well, he said, he might be lying, but he said. And all they worry about getting paid to do their job that day. They're not going to challenge him. They don't want to come up like Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I'm being honest. And that's
I'm glad you brought that up because we need to go here, and this is a part of the problem. What's going on? See, we talked about this last week briefly in the beginning of our podcast. But see, what happens when people put pressure on you? You change. Mm-hmm. You dance to a different tune. You think because you got that big mic, you can just add pressure to anybody and ain't nobody gonna challenge you. Well, what happened with Stephen A. Smith, since we're bringing up all these people and we brought up Jimmy Kimmel, when he started feeling that pressure that people was putting on him, mm-hmm. he came back and apologized. But even in coming back and apologize, the people named that he called out, almost like Roland Martin, D.L. Hughley, a couple of those other guys that's out there, they say you don't know enough about what you're talking about to even get into the arena.
Yes.
So that's part of the problem with what's going on in America. People don't investigate and look into what they're talking about. They make comments based on feelings. This is not a feeling society. Yeah, you can add your emotions into it, but when you add your emotions into it, Make sure that you know what you're talking about. Make sure that you know the power that that person has. Because one of the things that he said was that she could just go talk to the president. Oh, she can't go just talk to the president. It's somebody that's ahead of her in the House called Hakeem Jeffries. He's supposed to meet with the president. She can't do that. But you made that comment. Like she could just walk in the president's office and sit down and talk to him.
But even if she could, he wouldn't talk to her because he's too afraid.
Oh, he in Japan.
But no, he wouldn't talk to him if he was right up next door to her in the same room. Let me tell you something to you. Stephen A. Smith, over this past few weeks, got a real awakening.
Mm-hmm.
He started hearing about somebody in the White House is telling him some stuff what Trump is doing. And then he finally started saying, I didn't vote for Trump. I don't believe in nothing he's doing.
Say it.
I'm just the messenger. That's what he started saying on the last few days. But here's what he did say. When they caught these people with this mob stuff and gambling with the NBA, he said Trump is coming. He said Trump is coming for every organization that portrays with people in color in power. He said, they're telling me this. He said, that's why I don't like the fact that Bad Bunny is performing at the Super Bowl. And he said, they're going to have ice raids out there at the Super Bowl. Probably will. So he's saying now they're trying to get into if these people got all this money in NBA and NFL and stuff, who's doing something wrong?
The only thing that's going wrong, Pastor, is that his family hasn't figured out a way for them to get paid out of it. That's the only thing that's going wrong. Pastor might be having some bad weather out there with Glass where he's at too, because he kind of froze. So
yeah, I see that. Ron, again, what's wrong is that we got the wrong person in the wrong place. What's wrong is everything this man say about somebody else, he's actually talking about himself.
Mm-hmm.
Just check the fact. Everything that he said about somebody else, it has actually come to fruition that it was actually about him. So again, my concern is trying to entice people to consider to get out and vote for whatever they feel they should vote for, but sitting at home is not an option.
No, it's not an option. It never will be an option, because if you want to make a difference, you got to get out of your house and go do something. You got to get out of your barbershop, your beauty shop, your church, or whatever you're sitting in. And if you're sitting in the church and they ain't telling you about what's going on in the world, because the church is going to have to step up, Byron, before it's over with. The church is going to have to step up. They ain't going to be able to ask those questions. Do you have, how much money have you putting in the church? How much money have you given? Because eventually they're going to figure out that if they can't get nothing from the church, they're going to leave the church. And I hate to say it like that, because if you got people out there suffering, they can't get basic food needs. You mean to tell me you don't have no all this time that you've been collecting on Sunday, you've been doing those plates, you don't have enough outside of that to start a food bank or something like that for the people so they can just get through? We suffering with something that we shouldn't be in, Pastor. I mean, Glass, I don't even have an answer for it, but we're suffering with something that we need to lean in on the church, and the church needs to be there for people.
Exactly. If you got $50,000-$60,000 that's in your your public collection, and you got somebody in your neighborhood, kid needs some shoes or some books or something for school, and you got a problem giving that, then I think that's just a problem, and I think that goes on a lot in a lot of places. Somebody can come back and say, well, what are you doing individually? I can tell you 1,000 things that I'm doing individually, but what I do is I don't try to advertise it. I don't get on Facebook like I used to and put that stuff out there. As long as the good Lord knows what's taking place, Ron, I don't really care. Perfect example. We got people right now who don't have SNAP benefits. Okay, well, what do you do, Glass? Well, what I do is I go to the source and find out who's in this neighborhood that's receiving X amount of dollars. If you're receiving $300, if you're receiving $600, you're receiving $1,000, and you're the person that's chosen, whatever it was that you're getting, that's what I'm gonna give to that family. So it ain't just talking the talk, it's walking the walk. Now, can I do it every month? Absolutely not. Am I going to try to do it every month? No, I'm not. But I'm going to do it whenever I feel that I have the desire to do it, or when the desire is given to me to do it. But I'm not going to sit here and not do nothing, because I know, Ron Riggins, you know that if you are used to making $1,000 a month, that's $500 a month, and you've been living off of it for 2 or 3 years, take that $500 away from that person and see how it feels.
Yeah. Hey guys, what's going on? The weather in Houston, the gusty winds about 30, 40 miles per hour. It's messing with the electricity. So
I figured that.
clicked 3 or 4 times, and that time the internet went out. And so it took me a minute to get back in.
Yeah. We understand.
But Glass, also, you know what? I'm gonna call everybody out. I ain't gonna just call these churches out, because it's gonna take everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You walking around here with these fraternities on your shirt, talking about you this person, that person, you got all this stuff on. That means that you're supposed to support and help the community too. So you need to find out within your organization, what are they doing to put back into the community, not just saving up their money for homecoming events and all the rest of that, to see what y'all can do. For this is going to be a hands-on activity for everybody.
But see,
so if you see, I'm gonna call them out. I'm gonna call them out too. What's wrong?
Something was kicking the couch.
No. All right, I got my grandson. Go ahead, Pastor.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, this is what we're doing this for.
No, it's probably
we're doing this for what we have right there in Ron's seat, right there in this studio. You and I, Glass and Ron, over the next 20 years,
leave it open.
25 years, we're gonna be.
Spike, mute your mic.
Huh?
Now instead of Spikes, to mute his mic.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I got you.
Okay.
That's okay. This is what we're doing it for. We're doing it for our next generations. And if we don't do it now, they're trying to take us back. They're trying to make America great again, all right? Make America 1880s, 1920s, 1950s is what they're trying to do. And that young man will live a life that will be likened unto when there were sharecroppers and Jim Crow and KKK running rampant. But if we keep our feet to the fire, our hand to the plow, don't look back, don't let up, don't stop. Ain't no stopping us now. We ought to be on the move.
Mm-hmm. And you're right, Pastor. What we do it for is for our kids. We're not doing this for us, because we're and I can truly say this. I'm up in age, and I do it for my kids and my grandkids, so that they can live a better life, so that they can understand. I don't never want them to forget where we came from, the generation that put in before we got here. I don't never want them to forget that. The generation before my mother's parents put in. I don't never want them to forget the work and the sacrifices that they made to get them to a point where they are right now. I'm not saying that they didn't got that far, but saying that it's better than what it used to be. It's a little bit better. And I don't want Trump to ever have the power to turn it back.
Let me tell you something else. Right now, I have a daughter, and we live in Texas. If she gets married and have complications in the pregnancy, she can actually lose her life based on what they have decided with this abortion stuff. This is crazy. We don't think about stuff like this. They little bit by little bit, they live worse now. We live worse now than we lived before, because they're going to have to determine. They'd have to determine whether they're going to try to make them have the baby in spite of all the complications, and you're going to lose the mama and the baby, or she have to leave and go to another state somewhere, or maybe out of the country, depending on how many laws they got changed to try to get us some help. This is the crazy stuff we're talking about. That's just one area of life in which they've taken freedoms away.
Right.
And they take all our freedoms away some kind of way, one way or another.
Pastor, as y'all listen to what's being said out here, we're not rich. We do this. We volunteer to come into this format. We volunteer our time to come into this format and try to make a difference. And as you see, we live the same lives that everybody else live. And that's the same thing that some of these people when they start making a whole bunch of money, it's like they change, their position changes. They change. Yeah, they want to tell you about what's going on, but they don't know the struggle that certain people went through. See, Pastor Regan's Byron Glass wasn't always able to dress up in suits and go somewhere. But Lord knows they worked plenty hard to get where they at and sustain where they at. And you got a man that's out there in office right now that's trying to take all of that away from him. I'm in retirement age right now. And if it's left up to him, it probably wouldn't be nothing there for me either. If we continue to allow him to do what he's doing. So you're not listening to the people that's got 10 people I was looking at today. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying we don't have 10 people behind us that's running the boards. We don't have people that's doing all of this to make it look all professional. When our power goes out, it goes out like yours. And we have to continue to go on. And that means that when we're sharing information with you, we want to share information where you can go back and research it for yourself. We want to share with you good information. We know that everybody can't do what we're doing, and everybody's not in the environment. Look at Glass. He goes to Louisiana State. He was going all the time. He barely could make the shows at one point in time, but he's going up fighting for somebody that's bigger. Pastor Riggins went to North Carolina. He was in North Carolina, basically doing the same thing that he's doing here. So I'm just telling you, it's sacrifices. You don't necessarily have to go out of your way, but you do have to do something within your community to make a difference.
Ron, I remember you used to say back when we was on Blog Talk and, just starting out, you used to emphatically say that most people are just one paycheck away from being homeless. Mm-hmm. And 10 to 15 years ago to now, it appears that what you were saying is coming to light.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Lost Pastor. Oh, I thought we had lost Pastor Regan.
No, it's true. No, it's true.
It's true. Everybody has a number. Yeah. Everybody has a number. I don't care if whatever you got in your bank, you have a number. Because one thing about when you're making big money, you have to continue making that big money to stay ahead of the bills. You miss one or two paychecks like anybody else. Yeah, you can dip into your savings and into your 401k, into your stock portfolio and all the rest of that. But eventually, those don't have no number in them either. Mm-hmm. And then what do you do?
Yeah. Man, let me tell you what. We talked about Barron and I wearing suits and stuff. When I met Barron Glass, I was at Northeast Louisiana University, which is now University of Louisiana Monroe. I had 5 sets of clothes. Mm-hmm. I knew what I was wearing every Monday. I knew what I was wearing every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday. Mm-hmm. It only would change if we had a holiday and we miss a day. Then I can rotate and make what's on Friday, miss Friday, be on that Monday, so make it look different for the next time till we have another holiday. Mm-hmm. But I had 5 sets of clothes and I had 4 weekend Sunday outfits. Mm-hmm. One for first Sunday, second Sunday, third Sunday, fourth Sunday. And I had clothes to play in at the gym and on Saturdays. That's all I had. Mm-hmm. But I was going somewhere in my life.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So now when I get extra money and when I feel like it, or they got some kind of suit sale somewhere, I'm going to get it. Mm-hmm. I work for that. Mm-hmm. I went to school and that's what we try to tell students today. Go be somebody, go get something. Mm-hmm. So that whenever you do, then when you late in your life, you can represent the hard work you put in with. Mm-hmm. I had no shame in my game. Just like I know my shame in that around. I got up every day and went to class. Mm-hmm. I iron my own clothes and starch it. Mm-hmm. And wash it. In the washer at Olin Dorm. 18 floors on the second floor, 218. Mm-hmm. Go down to the washing machine and wash my own clothes and dry them. Mm-hmm. And get about my business. That's what people have to do today. Nobody ain't gonna give nobody nothing. You got to go earn it.
Right.
But if you need help, the government ought to be able to help you out, or somebody ought to be able to help you out. But this is what we represent. We represent years of trying to do what we're doing now.
You know, Pastor, as I listen to you talk, you know, as I look back at life and I think about my own life, I chose to go in the military when I graduated high school.
Yes, sir.
But that's a choice that I made to go in the military. I didn't. When I went in the military, it wasn't like I was. I had this. I came from a great environment, but the bills were paid. I think about it, and I think about the story that you told about your father, and I think about my mother and my father, and I remember back when it was a government shutdown, and I don't know when it was, but times was hard for us.
Mhm.
I remember my mother, and I'm gonna tell you how old I was, because I remember my mother going over to my daddy's sisters and brothers, and they were on commodities. You remember them white?
Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
And my mother went over there and was getting commodities from them to help us make it on our end.
That's
And
food
so we
stamps.
could get
That's
back up.
food stamps,
That
commodities.
was something that was the food stamps of that era, commodities.
Yes, sir.
It wasn't like what it is now. You go get a box of white box. Everything was in white labels. They had whole chickens in can. They had the best cheese you ever want to have in your life. They had peanut butter and all the rest of that. But that's how you made a living.
Yes, sir.
That's how you made a living. And if you think about it right now, if Trump was smart, what he would do is put those farmers back to work and put something out there for those people that's not making that much, and maybe give them some of those commodities at the same time while they're getting people to work. I don't know how that would work or whatever, but we got to do something to save America. And we can't just keep on saving other countries, putting $20 billion here because we want to buy some cows because the cow market is too high. Come within your country. You say that's what you was going to do. You was going to do.
Hey, Ron, but it's one thing to add to that.
Go ahead.
It's no more normal. We can't think about what used to be.
Mhm.
They have made it their number one ultimate goal to never let normal be a part of the present.
Mhm.
We got to think outside the box. Would you say that, Riggins?
Yes, sir. Let me tell you something else. Instead of him trying to figure out ways to help people in the long term, he wants to throw little pennies at you. Talking about, I might give everybody what kind of check you talking about?
Stimulus check.
Stimulus check of $2,000. Now, let me tell you what. First of all, Congress has to pass that. You can't just give it to us. But even when Congress passed it during the pandemic, he signed it like it's his. When the treasurer is supposed to sign it. But furthermore, when they give you that kind of cash money like that, guess what the people do? They run get their nails done, their hair done. They go to Foot Locker. They go to all the places for entertainment. They go drinking and smoking it. And they don't use it for no help. No, that's just throwing money at people. And I'm not even talking people that actually work. They want to go do entertainment with it. Nobody's taking their money and putting it back in those savings or put it and trying to invest it in something to make no money. But if you got a program like Ron says, where agriculture's involved, where farmers are helped, where people get food out of it, that's one thing. But just throwing cash in, you go cash your food, the food gonna waste the money. And I'm not just talking about black folk and Hispanic folk, I'm talking about people all across the nation. White, black, Hispanic, Asian, everything. Most people are consumers in America will use extra money to consume, entertain.
But even if you give it to him, Pastor, here's the deal. It's going to have to be paid down the line.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be paid down the line. It's going to have to be paid down the line. I don't care how you do it. It's going to have to be paid down the line. I'm going to take the comments off because I don't want to cover up Pastor, but
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that it's going to have to be paid, and you got to realize that it's going to be paid. David, I see you on the line, so I see you just coming in. We've been out here talking. You said you was going to run a little bit late, so I fully understand that. But we facing some stuff now that I don't know. David was born with a silver spoon in his life, in his mouth. You know, when he went through college, his father and his doctor mother was able to pay for it. You know, David lived the life of the Huxtables. So BG and Pastor Riggins, he might not be able to understand what a real struggle is.
What? Sure. You know, it's funny. I tell people this all the time. My sister, I, and my brother, we make 12 times what my dad ever made in 1 year working. And it's just, you know, because he really pushed us into going to school, getting an education and everything like that. And I look at that and I'm like, I think a lot of our issues stem from us not taking education as seriously as we used to. Because I think a lot of people fail to realize, like, if you look at the HBCU colleges, we built, like, African Americans built the whole college system, and the PWIs just kind of came around, right? Like, that wasn't a thing for them with the PWIs. It was like on the East Coast, there was a handful of those that's been there for years. But the HBCUs are the one that did the whole college system, and the NFL and the pros, they all came from HBCUs way back then. It's just that when that monetary situation happened, like, they were able to recognize faster how to make money off of going to college faster than we did. Because we were like, hey, you know, you would go, and it wasn't about making no money as a college. It was more about educating everybody in the community and all this and that. And then that's where that growth happened and stuff like that. But if you look at like how that got all started, like, we were starting up colleges all over the country for us to go to, because you couldn't go to any other schools if we didn't put the school together. Like, if we wasn't in charge of the college, you wasn't going to get no higher education.
Let me tell you a true story that David's saying, Texas history. You know, I'm a history teacher. 1865, Prairie View A&M was given a land grant for a college, African-American college. The Anglo-Americans in Texas got upset about it. They said, stop. You can't give them a land grant without giving us one. So they gave one to Texas A&M. They built Texas A&M first, and said Texas A&M was built in 1865. They said Prairie View was built in 1876. Fast forward to today, guess whose system Prairie View is part of? So they could survive. In the 90s, that Texas A&M had to take over Prairie View.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the crazy thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think a lot of that has to do too is when I look at it is I think that we have to, when we're doing certain things as a community, like, we have to look at it a little bit. We have to look at it differently and apply the knowledge that we have a different way than trying to go the way that, you know, folks that are not minorities go about doing it. And I think what we fall into issue is we try to replicate that. Versus say, okay, here's how they're doing it. Let's take the best parts of what they're doing and add to what we know is really good, and then build upon and make it even better. And like we more reactive than proactive a lot of times. And the reason why I say this, I was just in San Francisco this weekend, or no, today, and I'm, you know, doing a startup and everything. And I go out there, man, I see more. There's minorities, they're just not African American. You know, we got every minority there. Their minorities is like, out of the 15 people, 9 of them are minorities, but I'm the only African American. And then you got a handful of, you know, Caucasian folks there. And it's just, you know, and as you look at it, you know, it's a community. Like, they have made it where it's a community of knowledge that if you're not in the space and you're not working, you don't get access to that community to be able to do the things that they're doing. Like, you know, you go in there, you build that community, and then all of a sudden you can do investing in companies and startups and get access to the right amount of monies and stuff. You don't have to, like, get it out. The young people say, like, get it out the mud. Like, we proud of getting stuff out the mud, and I'm happy. But guess what? There's a way of doing it without digging that hard.
Mm. Well, look, Glass and Pastor Riggins and David, you know, it's a lot of people out there that's about to suffer. November 1st is going to be a hard deadline for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to figure out, and I know it's going to come down to, somebody's going to break down the line. Somebody's going to have to break. Somebody's going to change. And I pray and I hope that it's not the Democrats. But would you blame them if they did? And that goes out to either one of y'all. Either one of y'all can take that question.
Hey, Ron, as for me, if you meant what you started out with, you stay the course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Don't
you
break.
can't give up now. Yeah. Because then what was
You
the
done came this for, why give in, Pastor?
Yeah, let me tell you what. I believe when you start looking at, like I say, Martin Taylor Greene's district, a lot of districts in the red states where these Anglo-Americans, like Positive B said, 37% of them are getting snaps, they're going to start breaking. The Republicans are going to break, I believe. They're bluffing, and they're bluffing, saying, "Oh, we're not going to do nothing till you do something about Obama. Till y'all decide y'all don't do the credit. We ain't going to do nothing. We ain't gonna do." But that it's just like you're trying to play chicken. Who's going to hit each other first? Who's going to move? I believe the Republicans are going to shift and move because they're in power, and they're looking at 2026. They're looking at we could lose power behind this.
Eventually, somebody's gonna start giving. I don't know. Maybe y'all know more than I do, but I'm just telling you. Eventually, somebody's gonna have to give, and they keep trying to pin it on the Democrats. But if you were succeeding at what you were doing, and you knew you was in the big seat, why would you keep trying to pin everything on the Democrats? Again, I'm gonna go back to that narrative glass. You got the House, you got the Senate, you got the president.
Now, one thing I hope that the Democrats are looking at is what is their midpoint. Like, okay, if we have to make this happen, what do we have to have in there that we not gonna give up? And don't pick something that's like we don't care about. Like at least, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna budge, like what are non-negotiables? I hope they have a list of these are the non-negotiables that we're not giving up. We'll give up these two. But these three here, we're not doing that. And we got to have those. So then you can hang your hat on something. That's my thing is like, if you in the negotiations, like you got to have what's your non-negotiables versus like, okay, well, we want to give up. And then you come out of it. You're like, dude, you gave up the bath water and everything. Why did we even start this process in the first place?
Yeah. The other thing is that as they negotiate, I never sit in a room where I had to negotiate something that's so important. Glass, you've been there, so kind of, when you're sitting in there and you're making decisions that involve a whole bunch of people. I know that you've been there, Pastor. I know you have too. So, because you in congregation is no different than any other organization that's out there. So, Glass, kind of walk us through the procedures and stuff.
Well, my only rule has always been this. You go in knowing that there are some things you want, and you go in knowing that there are some things that you need. If you come out of there with the majority of the things that you need, that's successful. But see, a lot of people go in with wants that it makes them look good. But if you're dealing with the people, what's going to benefit the people the most? That's been my mantra for, and I've negotiated some very good positions, and I'm not going to say good deals, but just good positions for what it was as a subject matter at that point in time. Again, we had a $1 million situation where we knew that $1 million had been basically taken. Okay, we negotiating from 8 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the evening, but we knew that we could only prove 50,000. You knew you could prove that. We assumed that this other money had gone, but there was other people that was in the process. The question is, what's in the best interest of the people? We knew that we could get to 50. Hey, look, man, go back in there and tell us, man, look, you write a check for $50,000. That's all you can do. You're going to spend $50,000 in litigation. It's going to be just like the Trump system. It's going to be appealed. It's going to be appealed. It's going to be appealed. Before you know it, it's over. You get nothing. Wants versus needs is what I look at. I don't know about Rick's.
Hey, I'm saying the same thing what Barron says. Let me tell you how though. You go in there with the wants as the flashing lights. And when you go in the wants as the flashing lights, they're going to try to strip your wants from you. And they think they're winning that way. That's okay. You get it's like deep sea fishing. And deep sea fish, you let them run a little bit and reel them back in. Let them run a little bit farther, reel them back in. So in that negotiation, you got the wants as the flashing lights. And then when they think they stripped all the wants from you, you say, well, since you can't give me this, this is what I need. But all the while, that's what you was getting at anyway. See?
Yeah.
See, so you let the wants be, because they just like if I know, I like to go on cruises, right? When I go on cruises, I like to stop on the ports, Cozumel and all them other places like that, and I want to buy belts and leather goods and all that stuff. And I look at that thing, and I know that guy got on that price. I know right there he say he wants $75. Regan's ain't gonna pay you but $40 for it. But I'm starting down to about all I got is $25. That's all I'm gonna give for you. Yeah, no. He kick it down to 60. Nah, man, all I got is 25. And then I got him down to about 55 then. And then he got that budge. I said, man, tell you what, man, what if I give you $40 for it? Okay. That's all I'm gonna pay for it anyway. But I'm down there hollering 25, trying to bring him down close as far as I can. So what you do, it's called haggling. So you already know what your bottom line is, but don't never show your hand until you have to show your hand. If I came in at 40, guess what? At 75, I ended up paying about $60 because I hollered 40. But I hollered 25 from the beginning, way out of line. Knowing in my mind, I'm gonna pay the man $40. But I'm saying, man, all I want to give you is 25. Really, and if he go for 25, I'm gonna give him 25. But I know he ain't going for 25. So I'm starting that low down there because I'm definitely not gonna pay no 60, no 55, 50, neon and 75.
So I just hope they're on the same page. Like they've met, they've all talked about, hey, here's what the wants, here's what the needs, here's what we're willing to budge on, here's what we're not willing to budge on. And so everybody is in the loop versus, just a handful of the Democrats are in the loop. And then we got people out there that don't know what's going on. So they wish you, they flipping over. And sometimes that's usually what happens. The people that move over, the people wasn't in the loop. Right. On what they were supposed to vote for, or what they were supposed to give into.
Right. And everybody's going in the room saying we ain't coming off for $40. But somebody hollered 25, but we ain't going no higher than 40.
Correct.
One of the things that I share with you guys, and I can't call no names because the person that did it is on the air right now. I remember him when we had this organization, this big, large organization in Houston, and nobody, and it takes me back to Glass. What Glass always said, you got to have a seat at the table. And this person had a seat at the table, and they was telling him what he couldn't do, and he was the part of the organization. When he ended up doing it, they never gave him credit for it. But then they came back the next year, and they used the same place that he negotiated to get in place. And then when he eventually just stopped doing it, they went back to the place where he originally started, and then David had put in the action to get it started. And I just laugh sometimes when I go to that. It's a big organization. I mean, it's all over the U.S., but they have certain days that they do this thing. And David took a seat at the table to make a difference, but nobody in our organization had ever taken that seat. But David took it, and when he took it, he took over the organization and made it better for everybody else. And today, some of the stuff that he initiated then is some of the stuff that's still going on when you go to this big organization. So
you know, like there's some people that still won't talk to me today because of that. Like we made it better, and they still didn't like it. And my thing is like I always tell folks is like, if you're gonna put time into something, why don't you give everything into it? Like why? Like what's your objective? And in this case, our objective was to make it the biggest, baddest thing known, and then get a lot of students and kids involved and all this. So I'm like, okay, well, we've been doing the same game plan for 10 years. That is not add to the objective. And I told him right now, like, if you put me in charge, this is what I'm going to do. And so the majority of them was like, okay, let's put David in charge. And I'm like, because it ain't no what they call, ain't no get backs, ain't no comebacks once I get in, if you put me in there, you got to ride with me now. And we had a great time. And I do know, like, one year, and we had a lot of minority students sign up at some HBCUs and got like free admissions and stuff like that because of that, and on the spot. And to this day, I think TSU works with that organization, and they wasn't involved. Like they wasn't involved. They're more, I think, Prairie View at the time wasn't involved, and we got them involved, and it worked out a lot, especially for the students. And
U of H was involved because you were able to talk and negotiate with U of H. I can say U of H because they don't know what they. Well, let me shut up. I'm talking too much. Originated.
Well, you know, it's funny. Like it went back to what it kind of used to be prior to us doing all that work, and a lot of us look at that and we just like. And this is a true story. So I had an organization I was working with. It was pretty nice size. And we was buying this product, and this kind of fits into what we were talking about. We was buying this product for like $500,000. We had to have it in our organization no matter what. Well, I realized there was other organizations neighboring us that could use the same product, and I wanted to cost share. So I wanted to get some of that $500,000 back so we can double up. We can do more things with the same amount of money. I went to my boss at the time. He's like, we don't generate revenue. It didn't matter that it didn't matter that we going to bring money in. That was the thing. We don't generate revenue. So then I went to the finance group, and it was like, well, we don't generate invoices, so that's why you can't do it. And I'm like, you guys realize I'm trying to get like $250K back? And they was like, yeah, we understand that, but this ain't what we do. So lo and behold, I end up doing all the work. I end up getting there. I getting 4 organizations that put in $50K each. It was 5, $50K each. I made the invoices. I took the money. And to this day, they still look to generate $250K every year because of that. And I kept the money. I was like, okay, if I do all this was the agreement. If I do all this, I get to keep it in my budget to be able to do what I need to do with it. After that first year, everybody was trying to come for my budget. Because they was like, you got an extra $250K. I'm like, no. This is the work I put in when you guys didn't want to do it. And sometimes that's what happens when you work with these groups or even the Democrats. They could be right there, but somebody just needs to take that extra lead and put in more work than it may require to get over the hump, and nobody wants to actually make that happen. They think somebody else is going to do it. Right. It's just like with CenturyLink. They say, call us when there's a power outage. Don't assume the neighbor is calling. Mm. It's the same thing with them. Like everybody to be in there and be like, okay, this is what we're doing. And if everybody do a little bit more than what's required, then you get more than what you need, which helps us. And therefore they get what they're looking for.
Yeah, and that's the thing I was trying to get people to understand. And that's what I was trying to tie back. It's going to take some negotiation. Don't think that the Democrats are just going to sit back and everything's just going to go their way. In the end, they're going to have to negotiate, but they're going to have to hold their place for a long time. They're going to have to hold strong, and they're going to have to stand on their own. And Pastor, you know for yourself that sometimes you just got to stand on principle. And
some of them may not get reelected, and that's okay. If you do the right thing, it works out in the end. And I think sometimes people can be short-sighted. Like you right there, do the right thing, it will work out in the end, even if there's a little short-term pain at this point. Because if you don't, you definitely ain't getting reelected after you just wasted 2 or 3 months and then you didn't get anything out of it.
Hey, Rob, I'll take it a step further. If I was a Dem and not getting reelected to give in, I'd rather not get elected and stand my ground and stand for the principle and the facts that, hey, this healthcare. But see, I like what David is saying. I'm going to switch gears a little. I'm not sure, David, and you can chime in on this, Ricky. I'm not sure if they know what's most important at this point. What's the top 2 or 3 priorities? Do they know that, and do they have enough in the caucus to really step out and say, okay, we're gonna give in here if we can get this 1, 2, 3, even if it's not healthcare. So, Dave, what do you think, Ricky? What do you think?
Yeah, that's the problem they have. This is why King Jefferson, when the big beautiful bill out there making an 8-hour speech, should have been in the back room negotiate for 8 hours what they're gonna stand for to get votes. They got a lot of mouthpieces. They have a lot of little trinkets and ornaments and, like flashy items, but they don't really, the leadership has to be able to know how to get their hands dirty. Like David said, when they didn't want to go raise their money, he got his hands dirty and raised their money. Now they wanted to come for the money. Remember Chicken Little say, who's going to help? What was it? The little hen said, who's going to help me do this? Who's going to help me do that? Who's going to help me do that? No, not I. Then when she cooked all the food, now who's going to eat it? They all wanted to eat it.
Correct.
Right? That's the concept we're dealing with. They don't even know how to get together and put together. We're gonna stand on $40 and we're gonna stay on $40. Or we want Obamacare, we're gonna stay on it, or we want to snap it. They don't know, they don't have the 2 or 3 things they want to stick on and make it their sticking point. That's what Barron is saying. They don't learn how to formulate leadership.
And you can't, and
leadership is more than just talking.
Right. And they can't be worried about what the Republicans want. Like that's the thing. Like you can't try to stop somebody else from getting what they want.
Right.
You need to focus on what you need.
Right.
Like, what you need is opposite of what they asking for, then that's a different story. Now you can have a conversation. But don't be so focused on, well, they want the border wall. They want no. Right. Worry about what you need and what we need, the constituents need, and then work from an area of strength there, and then everything will fall into place.
I agree 100%. Ron, now, since I'm not there, I can't tell you what would be the top 3, but what I can tell you based on what's there is that the healthcare issue is there, but it may be something that's more, I'm not going to say more important, but in the short term, what they get, because the shutdown, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's affecting people from all walks of life. Dem, Republican, white, black, young, old, rich, or whatever. It's affecting it. So the question is, and I agree with them. I don't trust the man to open it back up, then sit down to negotiate. Because he's been nothing but a Benedict Arnold for the last 50, 60 years. So I think David put the high points. And I like that. And it's real simple. So you don't have to listen to what we're saying. Just fact check it. And I agree with David 100%. See, I don't care what they want over there. If they may end up getting it, I just care what I want.
Right.
That's part of wants versus needs.
Another thing is this: the tent is big enough. It's called pork.
Right.
So everybody can get what they want.
Exactly.
Right.
Everybody can want. Hey, okay. You want to bridge to Alaska? Build it.
Right.
You want a monument? Okay. It's gonna take 10 years to build it. Build it. Right now, I want my health care.
Exactly. There you go, Rick. Right now, we ain't worried
build your monument, build your bridge, build your wall, give me my health care.
Hey, Rick, and I would go to say this. Hey, look, man,
we'll use some of the profits from the health care to build it for you.
Hey, Rick, I would say, look, man, you want that big ballroom over there? I don't really care. Let the people deal with that. This is what I want right here.
Right. Y'all go dance. You go dance. You can't dance anyway, but go dance. Whatever,
we'll put state of art, sound system in there for you.
Right, exactly. Right, that to me, Riggins, they say you tearing down history, whatever. I don't. That's probably true, whatever. But the point is, if he can do it, let him have whatever he want to have of it, because he's nothing but a child. You got to deal with it like you're dealing with a kid anyway. Right. Okay, and you negotiate, Ron, with kids all the time, whether you know it or not. So if he got it, man. All I want is for these X amount of millions of people that's going to lose this healthcare coverage. I want them to have that. You can have 1,000 things, but if it's this one that I want, I need, that's what I need.
Yeah,
one of the things.
It's just like with your significant other, right? She wants to go get the product perks. I'm like, well, I need a back rub, and then time with you later. All right, then you get like we can get what we want. I need this, and you got what you wanted. Yeah, it's the same situation. Like, right. You don't have to. It's like sometimes they wanna win at all costs, and they tell you even in business, a win-win is the best way to negotiate.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
The table happy. Because then when you come back later to do something else, they're willing to sit down and do something else with you.
Right.
When you win and that person lose and they know they lost, That's why we're having to shut down now.
Exactly.
Because some of them feel that they lost last year when they extended it. And now they're like, you know what? I don't want to talk about this, or I don't want to talk about that. And that's why you're having to shut down, because people feel like they lost last year when they extended it.
Now, Riggins, let me ask you this, Riggins and David. This is kind of, it's not a trick question, but because it's part of the process. What happens if these other characters decide that they want to go ahead on and use a nuclear option and open it back up? Then you don't get nothing over here, and they getting some of what they want. What's your position on that, David, Riggins?
Right. They open back up, but then that's when we come in 2026. We got to move them.
That's my point. That's what I was hoping you said.
Let me tell you something else.
And you always say, stop.
David said the most important thing: win-win. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The ironic thing about this all, this fool wrote a book, or somebody wrote it for him, called "Order the Deal."
No,
right? Yeah. You know what's wrong with the order of the deal? It's lose-lose.
Correct.
Because everything he ever done in his life was lose-lose, but he had it on paper like he was winning. So you're dealing with somebody who always had lose-lose, and we trying to do win-win. So somewhere in there, somebody got to win and lose together.
And I also think too, like, you can't take nothing personal.
Yeah.
Like, you got to come from the side of, this is for my constituents. This is what we need as a group to do what we got to do. And then this also puts the country in the best position for us in 2026 and beyond. Like, you can't take that stuff personal. And I know from experience working in business, a lot of people take stuff personal, and that's why they can't get over the hump. And that's why they end up giving away their position or doing something by accident because it was upset or angry, versus like looking at it strictly as a from that professional level.
Right. They could win or could get what they want, but they're so mad that I ain't gonna do it because he's an a-hole. So something like
Correct.
that.
Yes.
He got over on me, and before my dead body, I'm not going. And all the while, they know what's inside. They should go ahead on and give in.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Correct.
Yeah,
we're looking at about
power. That's called power, because I got the power to keep you from getting what you want. And I don't want to look bad. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want them to think that I just totally gave in to you. But here's another part, is that you have to look at the long term. What's better for your people in the long term? If healthcare is important to you for the long term in your people, that should be your standing ground. That should be your end all be all. That should be what you stand on. Because if I guarantee you, if I'm like Glass, they ain't gonna never bring it up. If you give in right now, it ain't gonna never hit the floor. They're gonna say, "Oh, no, that ain't coming to the floor. We ain't gonna even talk about that. It's just, we got what we want. We good." So you have to hold them accountable for where they're at. Glass, we coming up on the last little bit of our time, and I know that everybody has a regular job. David came in a little bit late, so he was doing something. So I'm gonna give it to you, Glass, and just kind of get us to a point where I see the frustration in your face, but kind of give us some hope. And I'm gonna ask each one of y'all to do that. And Pastor, you go last. After Glass, we're gonna let David go.
Ron, the only that I can give is this, and I've said it for a long time. If you don't get out and vote in 2026 to change what you now see, then what you have always had as luxury would no longer be as luxury. And I'll conclude at that.
David?
Yeah, so one of the things I decided to do, not only vote, but I reached out to the local, Democrat office, and I'm gonna try to volunteer, get in there, be on a board, be on something like that, and help out. And and that way, then that makes me feel like not only am I voting, but now I'm also trying to help if I see this ain't going the way it should, or if they ask for opinions and stuff like that. So I always say, man, you don't have to put a lot of hours in. A lot of stuff is virtual. They may have 1 or 2 meetings a month. Like, do that as well. Like, hit up your local chapter and see how you can help, get the word out and make that change you want to see.
And before I give it to you, Pastor, I was reminded as David was talking about volunteering. Sometimes it may be as simple as driving the van to take people to the poll to vote.
Yeah.
Get a van, go to the Democratic office within your area, and just ask them, can you just drive a van to go to the places where people don't have transportation to go in and vote? That was a simple. Somebody sent that back to me when I was telling them about voting, and they say this year, the last vote, one of their friends went out and drove the van. So they say this year it's so important this time when the vote come up that they're gonna go out and do the same thing. So, Pastor, with that being said, I'm giving it back to you, and you can make your comments and give us a prayer and get us out of here so I can see them deuces up from that man up in the top right hand corner. I know it's time to hit that end stream up there.
Two things, man. Let me tell you what. Going back to our conversation last week that David and I had, there's been research that figured out that foreign countries and other powers that be was trying to get access to people registered to vote, which leads to what happened in Harris County all the way up to last week. They had thousands and thousands, 100,000 people who they was delayed in processing their registration to vote. And early voting opened last week. And then I'm understanding when they're in 2026 election, 2028 election, there are certain counties and voting precincts in which the FBI, the military, and different people are going to be there trying to constantly monitor and also intimidate people. You know why? Because the love of money is the root of all evil. What we have is a military complex, capitalism, evil, grifting administration. All they care about is putting more money in building golf courses than taking care of their own people, and throwing money in other countries to try to pad what they want to do instead of what? Taking care of their own. As we close tonight, we got to stay with our feet to the fire, our hands to the plow, as I said earlier. Our minds have to be right, and our souls have to be into it. No, I'm not preaching a sermon, but I am at the same time. We have to impact our community, our city, and our world. Like David says, volunteer. Like Ron says, vote. Baron says, vote. Like Ron says, be aware. Know what's going on. Do your research. And like I say, get up and be about it. Father, we thank you for this opportunity to share with my brothers, two gents in the mic, for the Tuesday night. And for our audience, we thank you for the reason why we're doing this, that we may impact our community, our city, and our world. We leave this platform, but not your presence. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen. I just want to say this: you don't see no collection plates up here. You don't see no subscribe. You don't see none of that. We do this voluntarily, and I appreciate each and every one of y'all giving your time to come in, because we have to make this a better place. And that's the first step in what, even though we talked about volunteering, David going to the Democratic office and Pastor Riggins doing his thing, we're doing it right now, whether or not you realize it, by coming before you, giving you information and asking you to just research on your own. That's all we're asking you to do, is go out there and look on your own. With that being said, we'll see you. Deuces. I see glasses, Deuce. Where everybody else is Deuce. Oh, Pastor pointing. There go Deuce. I seen yours, Dave. And there go mine. We out, guys.